Before the video starts, I just want to make sure all my condolences goes out to all 9 of the victims of the helicopter crash, and of course the families that were associated, whether it's Kobe and Gigi Bryant, of course, John, Carrie, Alyssa Etabelli, Sarah Chester, Peyton Chester, Zobayan the pilot, and Christina Moser. Once again, you guys are my condolences. What's good, everybody? It's the Kid Coop the Casual. Welcome to another video. I'm just going to announce this now just so I don't have to say it again. This video ranges from the beginning of the season up to today, which is January 29th, as I check real quick. I'm going to give a little injury mention to Steph, Kyrie, and De'Aaron Fox, of course, because, they haven't even played half of the games for this season, so I'm going to just go ahead and disqualify them. And this is going to go strictly off of Basketball Reference when it comes to the positions, except for LeBron. Yes, he's not going to be on the point guard list. I decided to keep him as a small forward just because I typically base that off of whoever guards you rather than whoever you guard, and it's just a lot easier that way, low-key. I would have put him number 1 if that makes anybody feel any better for the point guard list. So let's just move to the top 10. Almost forgot. And then there's honorable mentions to D Rose for keeping a bad Detroit team afloat, even if, they're in a little bit of a rebuilding stage. So without further ado, here's the list. Number 10. Ja Morant. First things first, this is one unbelievable rookie, and I happily chose him over D Rose or like a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie. Even if it's his first season, he pushed this Grizzlies team who I'm pretty sure no one believed could have been the 8th seed with a pretty young core. And I saw this kid as one of those next John Wall, Russ type guys, but he has this amazing ability to change speeds. Not saying that they don't, they obviously do too. He has that leadership aspect, the ability to shoot, which is kind of surprising so early on, especially as a rookie. That marketability, that's definitely going to propel him to all-stardom. Plus 18, 3, and 8, and an amazing shooting splits as a rookie. Come on now, it was a pretty easy pick. Is all I got to say. Number 9. Malcolm Brogdon. I'm not gonna lie, some people not gonna like this pick, but I don't care. Brogdon's been leading this offense on the Pacers in the wait and anticipation for Victor Oladipo to eventually come back, and I didn't expect him to explode at the start of this season, especially as quickly as he did from that transition from being on the Bucks. And I mean, he was a solid player, but I just never saw this, what he's become. And he slowed down a bit, since the start of the season. And he's just coming back from injury, so hopefully he'll be able to, keep it up as long as, he can, alongside Domantas Sabonis, who I think is an all-star candidate this year, throwing that out there. It's kind of an all-around, good at everything type of player, a team guy. But, I mean, he stepped it up to another level to where he seems like he's even more than that at this point. He's a 3-and-D guy, at least originally, that became a playmaker who can average 7 assists a game. So his team didn't fall off. He's pretty much everything that you would want in a solid starting point guard. I just don't think that anybody will necessarily want him as your point guard. If that makes any sense. On to the next pick. I'm done talking. Number 8. Chris Paul. Okay, somebody's going to say CP3 is too low. PG is the deepest position that's in the league at this point in time, and it's going to look a bit weird, but just imagine if Steph and Kyrie was playing this season as much as CP3 has been playing. So let's move on and we can actually talk about it. His numbers are obviously falling since he's past his prime, but the level of mentoring for this young team in the OKC Thunder and the chemistry they have together is low-key scary. Many expected OKC to be a bottom seed, but currently they're comfortably in the playoffs, especially in the West. The level of mentoring while being more hands-off, and he's still averaging 17, 5, and 6, and that'll get it done. Statistics shouldn't be the only thing that makes a player whatever they are. It's definitely statistics, probably their impact and context. Number 7, Russell Westbrook. I'm going to just let it be known early that I'm known as a Russ hater, but we can talk about that some other point in time. It has nothing to do with anything now. I'm gonna need for all the Russ diehards to calm down. I do understand that he gotta adjust, to being in a new situation when it comes to the Rockets, but that doesn't excuse that this is the most questionable he's ever been as a player, at least in his career that I can think of. There's definitely people that doesn't even think he's an all-star, and everyone expected Russ to have a fall off, from his triple-double pedestal. But, he's still averaging 26, 8, and 7. That's solid. That's pretty good. It's just, this is literally probably the most inefficient that he's been. At least he's working on his free throw numbers. Those are starting to come back up, from the fall off from grace. I just remember his original free throw routine got changed because of some change in the rules. Can't remember off the top of my head at least. But this is the second lowest his 3-point percentage has been in his career, and with a lower usage rate. Other than that, I can say at least his production is starting to pick back up. Number 6, Ben Simmons. He's one of the most hated players in the league, but that doesn't really change the context of the situation that he's in, especially, with the numbers that he still puts up. Ben is low-key a non-aggressive triple-double waiting to happen, who's been suffering from a below-average GM, at least of recent, with Elton Brand, and a pretty hard situation for him to work around in the first place. Ben and Joel is one of those duos that's obviously great, but they can't coexist just from their styles of play in itself. And the team isn't centered around Ben Simmons either, so that doesn't help him. He still finds a way to average 16, 8, and 8, and in at least pretty much for most of this month is averaged 22, 9, and 8, all in Joel Embiid's absence. Sounds great to me. Still can't shoot though. Number 5, Trae Young. Man, Trae, I wish his Young has the statistics of an instant all-star starter, which is what he ended up being, just so I can throw that out there. The issue is he just don't got the team to match for real. This, for me, threw him all the way down to number 5 for me. Yeah, number 5. But I need people to understand the Ice Trader gang isn't the reason why they're losing. He truly isn't. There needs to be more context in the situation. At the beginning of the season, Hawks was looking like a 6th seed, and then John Collins went down, and he was suspended for 25 games. Can't remember the reason why. Some type of steroid epidemic that happened to a couple of people, including DeAndre Ayton. I think it was someone else. I can't remember. But that kind of caused literally their whole momentum to just stop all at one time as a team, and it hasn't been the same since. They just got John Collins back recently. Can't remember exactly when. But their season is pretty much over. At this point, they could just probably hope for another pick. It's the best thing that they could do. But I'd say if that situation would have never happened, I'd say they'll probably be in the same situation as the Suns are now. I wouldn't say that they'll necessarily be straight up 7th seed in the playoffs, but they're an actual formidable team now. They don't look like bums all over the court. Number 4, Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry is, once again, underrated. Just throwing it out there now. And I'm not about to say but so much on Kyle Lowry. Everyone understands what he does for the most part if you're more than just a casual fan. He carried the Raptors when Pascal was out. A lot of people forgot that happened. He does have pretty serviceable talent on his team, but everyone keeps trying to act like people didn't see them falling out the playoffs, or they were 7th seed. That's where I thought they were going. I thought they were going to be a 7th seed team, still make it to the playoffs, and not make it far after the first round. But prove me wrong. Right now, they're tied at 2nd seed with my Miami Heat. So for that, he can definitely stay in the 4th spot. There's nothing wrong with that for me. Number 3, Kemba Walker. Now that Kemba's on an actual winning caliber team and he has actual teammates around him that are serviceable, I feel like he's more forgotten than ever. He's one of the 20-point scorers on that Celtics team with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I'm pretty sure. Showing superior chemistry and leadership to, compared to Kyrie, of course. And that comparison is always going to be there, especially from, how that whole situation worked out. And I'm pretty sure he would be a top 5 PG if he was eligible to be on this list. So that should speak enough volumes on how Kemba is really playing, whether his numbers are down or not. And this team is starting to get itself back together, especially after their small chunk of losses they just recently took in this month of January. And Kemba is definitely helping to lead this team with some up-and-comers, and they're pretty much off to the playoffs. There's no other way to say that. Number 2, Damian Lillard. Dame, since I think, January 27th, the last 5 games from that date, it's been averaging 45, and somehow their record is still 2-3. That's just my way of saying that the situation that he's in is not his fault. And I'd say that Dame definitely needs some help because the injury bug is definitely back in Portland, almost like the Brandon Roy Greg Oden days. And there's nothing he can do about it. They're the AC right now, even if they've gone through so many injuries, whether it's guys like CJ McCollum or even Yusuf Nurkic not even being back yet. But he's doing basically not exactly what Trae Young is doing statistically, but just generally, while still leading this team with more competition because, he's a player in the West. And let's not forget that he's still finding a way to average 28, 4, and 8. And is only 2.5 games out of the 8th, so, it's not much to really argue with in that. Number 1. Luka Doncic. Do we really gotta talk about this? He's an MVP candidate in his second year, and he's leading his team to the 5th seed in the Western Conference. They weren't even in the playoffs last year. Not to mention, he's averaging 29, 10, and 9? Something along those lines, something like that. Oh, and he's not even being compared to other people in the league. He's being compared to Hall of Famers right now. He shouldn't be number 1 on anyone's list. That's all I got to say.
Vortex in the beat with another fire crime.
Well, that's my list. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. This should be becoming a series. This should definitely be each position, obviously, and should be coming out probably every Friday, I'd say. So watch out for those. All there is left to say is see you guys in the next video.